You're going to go dark. There we go. Hi there. You are watching a special edition of Open Bar. I'm really excited here. I'm Mike Morales here in the heartbeat of Southern California. That young man out there is
John Wolfe. What's up, everybody?
Now, for those of you who are not aware, because we have people from all over the world who watch us and they watch our reviews and they watch Open Bar. John Wolfe is the brand owner of Juan Lobo Tequila, which made a big splash. I think you guys launched like late last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And I saw this, and I had to go after you guys because you launched your tequila made it at a distillery that's really near and dear to our hearts. That's NOM 1414. That's Feliciano Vivanco y Asociados, which I haven't told anyone this, but not in a long time. But I met Don Feliciano before he passed away, a few years before he passed. But well, anyway, let me get back to this story. John Wolfe is also a country music star. Now, you can follow John Wolfe if you're not doing so already. You can find a lot of his playlists on YouTube. Do it. I will tell you that I lived about 13, 14 years in New Mexico, and I'm originally from Southern California. So when you live in the Southwest, you gain this affinity for country music. But I'm really at heart, like I am with my tequila, and obviously you're a purist. So yeah. I listen to guys like gosh, I remember even growing up here in Southern California, like Freddie Fender, guys like that, just really old school. And some of those other names will come back to me. I'm sure I'm going blank right now, but if you haven't figured out John Wolfe, go check out his YouTube channel. And if you're not sure, you have a favorites playlist. It's kind of and I listened to that one afternoon while I was working here. My gosh, bro, you have that. Living in New Mexico and even Texas, because I was living in San Antonio up until about September, and you folks are probably watching this in November. Okay, somebody turned me on to George Strait because I wasn't a George Strait fan up until that point.
Yeah.
If you read the comments on your YouTube songs, you hear people going, "How come this guy's not being played nationally, internationally?" You really tell me where your country music roots are, and where this old. I love them. Once I listened to your music, I understood where your Tequila Passion comes from. Right. And I'll dovetail that together. But you tell me, where does that come from, man? How did you get involved in the business, in the music business?
Well, I think I grew up. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Raised in a little town close to Tulsa, and a little bit about my history prior to being in country music. I went to college in Colorado at Colorado State University. I have a finance degree from Colorado State. Worked in the oil business for a couple of years, and they transferred me to Houston, Texas, where I started playing the beer joints and the dance halls of Houston, Texas. And this has been, I've sang and played most of my life just for fun. But growing up in a small town in Oklahoma, you really don't know how to get into the country music business per se. Making my way to Houston, Texas, and out of college in 2005, I started playing the beer joints there. Houston had a really welcoming community on a music front, and it gave me the avenue to get into country music. So it literally started playing open mic nights and beer joints, and started gaining a fan base and a few connections in the business that took me to Nashville, and kind of made that my clear-cut path on a career level now for 12 or 13 years at this point. But I think that my earliest influences just as a listener really was rooted in George Strait, Frank Sinatra. I'm a big Frank fan, and I love Frank Sinatra.
Ah,
So to me, I think I fell in love with the purists and fell in love with that crooning, that approach to music, and I think that has influenced what I do artistically, and as you're going to say, what I'm doing on a tequila front as well.
well, when Alex and I did the review of Juan Lobo, um, I was much more confident myself in the quality of the tequila. We have not had one bad tequila that came out of that distillery, and I've been there. You know as well as I do what their process is. They play Mozart in the background while it ferments. The master distiller, the chemical engineer who invented that process. I'm actually in the middle of finishing up a book on that process, and I've met him and his partner. So I know where the distillery comes from. I've met the patriarch of the family. Now I'm looking at, before we came on camera, I'm admiring your tequila collection. There are guys that I know who would want to drink in your bar, man, because you got some Siete Leguas, you got some Herradura 94, you got Tapatio, you got Caballito Cerrero. Oh my gosh, you said you had some Cascaween in the background there?
Yeah, we've got some Cascaween back here in the back. We picked up the Plata 48, as well as an extra añejo Cascaween, which has been really nice. And what we were saying before off camera is that I'm a tequila fan. I'm a fan of tequila. I'm a fan of agave distillates, and it's one of those things where I think you have to be, as a brand owner, if you're not, I would assume that most would be a fan of all tequilas. I love trying out, and my wife and I, we come up here we call this my man cave up here. And next time you guys are in town in Austin, we'll bring you up here and see the man cave. We have a lot of fun playing the game, or I'll sit out on the patio, and we'll bring each other tequila from the tequila bar and see if we can guess which expression it is and what brand it is. So we have a lot of fun with that.
Wow, you guys do your own blind tastings. I love it.
That's right.
We should have you on Sipping Off the Cuff.
That's right. Yeah, and we also have some of the Via Mexico brand from 1414, as we were going through the process of learning about the 1414 distillery.
Yeah, it's an amazing history that they have, and even the person that exposed me to that distillery was David Suro of Siembra Azul. I don't know if you have had any of his tequila. He's got a delicious and beautiful restaurant right in Center City, Philly. So if you ever play Philadelphia, you need to go visit his place.
Hey,
but it's really rare for me. You're maybe the second person in the music business that I've met who is really a student of tequila. And I don't know if you know this gentleman, but Roger Klein is also a brand owner. His tequila is with another distillery. And Roger and I have had, a couple of interviews together, and you can watch all of those on tequilaaficionado.com. But Roger, I've watched Roger in a bar in Texas. I forget, I think it was New Braunfels. And he what he does with his fan base is he does a tequila tasting prior to his concerts. And I've watched this guy take his people, and I just sat in the back. He asked me to chime in. I said, "No, I'm watching you, man." And because he's really good with his people, with his fan base, and how to teach. And then after that event, we met up in Arizona about a year later and met at the Taco Guild in Phoenix, I think, or Scottsdale. Anyway, and we had a really good afternoon with him and his wife, and it amazes me how, I'm so gratified that there are guys like you who really make the effort to learn about tequila. You were telling me off camera, you're a fan of tequila. And then I'm looking at your bar and you're going, wow, this guy is serious. Because if you look at people's Instagrams and right now we're, Tequila Aficionado has the Tequila Catador course out, and I'm getting a lot of pictures from people who are buying the course, and they've got, their palate is everywhere. You'll have a Siete Leguas with another tequila that comes from with another process, and then another process, and it's like, pick one. You know what I mean? It's like, right. But you really, once I listened to your YouTube channel, and I got to hear you, and I picked out a couple of favorites. I think one of my favorite songs is Airport Kiss.
Yeah, man.
I love that one. Oh my God. There's a game. I don't know if you ever saw it where you're dating somebody and you go to every gate that's leaving and kiss me like I'm leaving on that plane, and you play the airport kiss game. I love that song, but you have so many other ones that are coming. Do you have an album coming out? Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah. So I mean, with the COVID world for us this year, really on the music front for quite a few months, we've been completely shut down from touring. We have turned our focus towards Juan Lobo as much as we can. On the Juan Lobo front during COVID, our effort really has been to expand our footprint on a digital front as much as we can. The brand awareness, bringing people into the brand that aren't familiar with it. We launched our short film for Juan Lobo, The Quest.
Yes.
Which we could talk about.
Some questions on that too.
That was a lot of fun. And on the music front, we've just tried to be productive and prep for next year. So we have a really amazing project. For those of you out there that are watching this and you want to learn more about us, you can go to johnwolfecountry.com. That's JONWOLFE country.com. From there, you can go to the YouTube page. You can go to any place that music is streamed or downloaded to find my music. Also, just keeping in touch with us about as we move into next year and make announcements about new music. But we have a really cool project coming out, which is going to include some really great tequila songs and some tequila references in this new record. Yeah. Excited.
By the way, let me stop you right there. I have a pet peeve with George Strait's Código song, and I have a personal blog, and I think last year I wrote the top 10 the tequila songs, and I gave George Strait some terrible marks. You have these beautiful songs from George Strait. I mean, he's famous. He's got like 2 houses in San Antonio, and he's got this delicious brand. I'm surprised you don't have any. Do you have any Código back there?
No, we did. I drank the Blanca, and I'll get it replaced. So that's
very drinkable. Right. It's a delicious tequila if you haven't had it. We haven't had it on Sipping Off the Cuff because I keep asking him for it. But anyway, that song, he phoned that song in. So please tell me I know you love the guy. I love the guy.
Sure.
But that song was, even Mas Tequila is even better than that song.
Hey, man, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. So we're on the same page. But George, he's got, he's not worried about it. But I think he might have phoned that one in a little bit. And But we had this new tequila song is really going to be, to me, it feels like a classic, and it more brings you into, there's so many tequila songs that we know are so predictable. I hope this one brings you into a different world surrounding my tequila, and it really references more of. Now I know this, where I like to go drink tequila sometimes isn't down in the heart of Guadalajara, but there's an old bar on the marina down in Cabo San Lucas where I can sit in there and watch the boats come in and out, and
And my good buddy Tomas, the owner of the bar Usual Suspects, Tomas and I are very close. And so this new song is going to reference that bar and Tomas. And so you guys will really dig it. I'm excited about it.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear it because it's where I live. It's my neighborhood. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're going to rate it 5 out of 5 stars.
There we go. Well, again, it's really interesting because up until the point that I saw the tequila, we're constantly looking for new brands, and that's what we specialize in ourselves at Tequila Aficionado. It's the small startups, the big brands, the big boys like Herradura, and even now Tapatio. Sure. Well, not so much Tapatio because I know Carlos, but El Tesoro, who he also supervises. They don't need us. They will be more than happy to rate their tequilas if they ever send them, and they have in the past. But my heart is where the newer brands, because they don't have the deep pockets and because they have to launch in a certain way. And Alex and I, when we did your review, it was just after we were quarantined, I think. And what had happened was we had all seen Super Bowl Sunday. We saw The Rock overtake Super Bowl Sunday. His marketing plan for the brand was to roll out with a big splash, and then probably a lot of personal appearances, a lot of movies where it was going to be. I won't be surprised to see a lot of product placement, but then it came to a screeching halt. And there was one other group that has a brand out that was going to be touring, and of course highlighting their tequila as well at all the venues they were going to. That's pretty much standard for the music bands that have a tequila or any liquor. And what I was so impressed with you and your tequila was that it didn't rely on you going on tour and pushing it and having it on the banners and making sure it was in the bar, because I know how that works. I understand the background of the business in that respect. And what really amazed me was that this tequila, your Juan Lobo, regardless of whether you were going on tour or not, was gonna make a splash and survive because of the quality of the juice behind it. It didn't rely on your career and your pushing it and your personality. And I was really impressed with that, because on the other spectrum, The Rock is his tequila. Terramana is his, and it's the tequila of the people. And he did a whole documentary on Instagram, if anybody's following The Rock, where he's pitching Walmart and he's flying here and he's doing interviews for his movies, and a lot of what depended on the brand success depended on his success, and then now we're quarantined in place.
Right.
So that's what I love about your tequila. So tell me, I know how it goes when it goes to sourcing tequila. Where did the idea come from? Why tequila? Why didn't you go gin? Why didn't you go, I get you obviously love tequila, but why did you decide that was going to be another aspect of the Juan Lobo picture, the John Wolfe, empire?
Sure. And I think the story kind of goes back for me, really 8 years, the beginning of just the nickname Juan Lobo, starting to play South Texas more often. My fans, we have a substantial Hispanic fan base in South Texas. So
yes.
And very from simple beginnings, in that this was this great nickname that my fans gave me. Hey, we're going to go see Juan Lobo tonight. And Juan Lobo was we just always thought, man, this would be a great brand. What could it be? For me, getting whatever I'm going to get into, whether it's music, a side venture, I simply have to have a passion for it. That's really just it. And oftentimes, that passion has to be something that you can't master. So I'm not a golfer, but I think golf would, because you're never going to master it. And so
Yeah.
I kind of started getting into tequila independently of the idea of Juan Lobo. So
Okay.
learning about tequila, going, wow, okay, because what you knew previously as a touring artist was whatever tequila they brought you to the stage with a ton of salt and a ton of lime,
Right.
and you chuck it down and you go, oh man, I hope I survived the night,
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so when I began to discover 100% blue agave tequilas, sipping tequilas, I discovered this whole new world of learning. Wow, okay, this process and this history, and this is amazing. And so really the convergence of Juan Lobo and the tequila became just like I said, kind of a nickname with a passion. And you go back about three and a half years ago for me now, wanting to research the concept of launching a brand. Fortunately, I knew that I would need to have somebody maybe from Mexico that could help me facilitate these relationships. So the first call was to one of my friends asking if his wife, who's from Monterrey, would she go with me, to meet some distillers and meet some producers. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And off we went on our first trip. She's now still my director of operations. So it's kind of cool to see us all stick together in this pursuit. So my goal was really looking at tequila from I wanted to just learn. I wanted an educational process. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at the tequila from more of an analytical business perspective. So again, we talked before also off camera. I have a finance degree, which, that some people say my mom probably wished I would have used the finance degree to than becoming a country singer. But it did teach me to look at things from a business perspective, when you talk about competitive advantage and all those sorts of things. So as we started going into and meeting distillers and producers, it really, again, was an educational process of going and drinking a lot of tequila. I tell, when folks ask me about starting Juan Lobo, I said, you really need to love tequila, because you're going to need to drink a lot of it. And that's learning about highlands and lowlands and processes. And so that was really the beginning of it for me. And as I began to sort of get into different producers, I also took the perspective of, I'm not from Jalisco. I'm not from Guadalajara. I didn't grow up, drinking tequila as a teenager, like a lot of people do. Right. And I didn't grow up harvesting agave or in the distillation process. So what I wanted to do was look for the right fit as a sort of producer distiller partner, and not try to tell them, hey, make this tequila like this for me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We know that and self-admittedly, I call myself a gringo all the time. As a gringo, what do I know necessarily? Our palates are different. Right. So I wanted my palate to adjust more to the tradition of tequila rather than trying to get it to adjust to me. So that was something that was really important for me. And so I would go to each distillery that we had meetings with and just say, man, you guys tell me what you do. I just want to taste tequila, and just let's talk about it. Let's not talk about what I think it should be.
Right.
what you do, and ultimately it fell. And I also wanted to work with a distillery producer family that, number one, that I got along with very well, that's honest, that has a artistic approach to their tequila, which there's that side of me. Of course, I'm a finance guy, but I'm a music guy, so I've got this left brain, right brain thing going on.
Well, actually, it's all the same brain because if you can read music, and I think you do, that's all math.
Sure.
I mean, so it's almost when I do. Maybe you've watched a couple of times when we do your tastings for Juan Lobo. I'll use left brain, right brain because that's the same thing that we were taught. The master distiller that actually taught us, that taught that technique to me, is the one that invented the Mozart, what I call the Mozart method.
Yeah.
And so
we utilize in our tastings as well.
Right. So and I didn't know you until today. We've never met even online, but we've communicated and with your people and our people and your people and me, and basically. But I learned a lot about you by the quality of your tequila, and that's what impressed us the hell, because it was like, wait a minute, I don't even know this guy. I have to know more about this because I'm in love with this tequila, and there's got to be more to you. So, and I realize that our fan base could be different from yours, and so we're going to have a lot of crossover. We're going to have people who love tequila are going to go, well, I've never heard of Juan Lobo, but I like this guy, and then if they're not country music people, they're going to go, okay, well, if this tequila is this good, what's his music like? And that's where I was at, and it's like, so tell me, how did you wind up with the Vivancos? Was that just an appointment that you guys had, and eventually just you came around to number 10 or number 5 or whatever?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, and again, kind of also from a little bit more about the why tequila. Number one, I love tequila, but I also still, from a business perspective, I looked around, and you can look at the trends, you can look at where these distillates have been over the years, and I said, okay, there's still opportunity in the tequila world to become successful. So first of all, you got to have that, and then secondly, I do see, and nothing against, I don't want to call out brands for what they are or are not doing, but I do see the opportunity in the tequila world to create a brand that connects still deeper, on a deeper level with their audience, on an advertising level and a branding level. So I said, okay, because a lot of people ask me, why is Juan Lobo tequila any different than this? So I can say, okay, well, I can talk to you about profile and process, and then I can also talk to you about branding and connection with our drinkers and fan base. And you'll see more of that coming with Juan Lobo in the coming years, on how my approach to connecting with people and creating this world of Juan Lobo that we want to enter into. So there's that. But going back to the Vivanco thing, when I went to see Sergio and the Vivanco family, number one, the distillery connected with me, being that it's Distilleria Ranchito. So it's very down to earth. It's beautiful. It speaks to the country boy in me. They've got horses. Every time I'm there, they always ask me, John, are you ready to get on a horse? And I said, give me a few more drinks of tequila and I'll be ready. So I always end up riding horses when I'm there. But, that spoke to me, and the process spoke to me. And I loved just what they did, the distillery tequila. And so for me, and I joke about this, but and there might be some we have a few friends that would see me coming in, flying into San Antonio, and customs guys. Hey, John Wolfe, how you doing, man? And I said, yeah, I've got a few bottles of tequila again, but we really had to make a lot of trips to bring a lot of tequila back and forth. And I did a lot of sort of, I brought in friends in the music industry, friends that I went to college with. I tried to vary my tasting groups. So our tasting process and groups went on, man, for at least a year. And we would have these big tastings, blind tastings. And, internally, I said, hey, I really would love to work with the Vivancos. I hope that their tequila is getting ranked in the top 2 from everybody without them knowing it. I wasn't going to try to influence it. And sure enough, it really stood up for itself. And I think that was the other thing about the brand. Thank you. And for them, I'll clap for the Vivancos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was something where if I market and brand this thing to the nines, that's great. But if it's not great tequila, it's not going to work,
Wow, look at you. See, I got it. I understood it. I understood that by tasting your tequila. And of course, the 20 years of experience that I've got, doing this stuff and knowing where, all these tequilas come from and how to find them and all that stuff. I mean, knowing the back end of the business. It's like the restaurant business, the back end of the business as opposed to the front of the house.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the back end, but every tequila brand that comes out of NOM 1414, and the name of the business is Feliciano Vivanco y Asociados, but it's the distillery is El Ranchito, and everything that comes out of there is stellar. It really does stand up for itself, and unless you've been to the distillery, it's very quiet. There's a reason distilleries are very, there's not a lot of action going on. It's very, especially with the serious ones. And I'm sure you visited a few. How many did you visit before the Vivancos, or even after, for that matter?
I would say we were in the realm of, 15 or 20. So, there were certain ones that I already knew they supplied, 20 or 30 or 50.
Right.
I said, I don't want to do that. I want our consumer to, when they go buy a bottle of Juan Lobo, that, in the Vivancos, my hope, of course, I see, I see how brilliant they are at what they do. And I hope that Juan Lobo becomes, for their sake, for all of us, I hope it becomes the biggest tequila in the world, right? But they have they have smaller clients. They're selective.
Yes.
And so, sure, any shelf is going to have a few 1414s, on the wall, but they're also really careful about designating each brand to have its own, specific taste profile.
Right.
And that starts in the very essence of the process, starts from the harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
We know exactly how they're going to harvest the Juan Lobo agaves, and that process is going to be a little different all the way through. That's going to designate what becomes the Juan Lobo profile. So it really was something for us that it was important to not, sort of be a number, I guess, to them. We wanted to be somebody that was we wanted to be a priority.
I watched we're just like us. We're on every platform of social media. Yeah, go ahead and reload. Yeah, hey, man,
repo right now.
If if I didn't have to save your tequila for the end of our Brand of Promise Awards, I'd be drinking it too because
I know we might be able to figure out how to get you some more. I know a guy.
I bet you do. So, the thing with I was going to ask you about. I watched your Instagram, and what I've noticed is, for a lot of other brand owners, they don't necessarily promote their distillery, and the distillery, it's still a business. Distillery has to make money. They have to support. They have to put food on the table like all the rest of us.
Sure.
And so I have nothing against what they call maquiladoras, which I'm sure you've heard the term. Distilleries that make a lot of brands for a lot of people. There are some very reputable brands coming out of maquiladoras, and then there are other dogs too. I mean, not all of them are winners.
Sure.
But what I noticed about your Instagram is you're giving props to the family, the Vivanco family, and that's completely brand new to me because there are some really great brands that have come out of that distillery. And they take pictures of the distillery, and you can see almost the same pictures from the different brands, whether they're still on the shelf or not. And I know right away that's the Vivanco family, their distillery. But what I noticed is you've got a couple of pictures of you and Sergio, and that's kind of neat. I don't know is that by design or because I don't. The funny thing is, I don't think I've ever met Sergio. We've communicated very little on email, but like I said, I met his father, and he was what a magical guy. He just had a charisma about him, and so is that by design? Just I get the impression that Sergio's kind of the guy behind the scenes and very shy and not not camera ready, but you got some great shots of both of you drinking at the bar.
Yeah, that was something that Sergio and I sort of, had our kindred spirits. There was something about our relationship that was important to this entire process. And you and I talked. I mentioned you and I talked off camera before as well. We love stories and storylines. And you could probably guess that being a country singer, story everything to me. I mean, it runs through my music and I think that Sergio and the Vivanco family are an integral piece of the story. And I think that was by design. I looked around, I felt like that too many brands have this manufactured story. And it's kind of all the same in a way. Like, a lot of brands will say, "Oh, we discovered this secret tequila," and
Yeah.
I wanted to show our consumers and our fans, our customers. I wanted to give them a complete picture of what this is. So there's little places they can go if they want to learn about the semi-fictional story of Juan Lobo. They can go watch The Quest, Juan Lobo. Right. And if they want to know, oh, this is John with sort of his distillery, as we would put it, Sergio is now sort of a little bit of the face of the brand, or the face of the distillery.
Yes.
In the story with us. So I know, we have his brothers and there's a group of them, but Sergio and I just really enjoyed being around each other, drinking tequila together. And we wanted people to sort of dig in and see that early process with Sergio.
That's awesome. I just, like I said, I can't say enough about the family. I think they're just they continue to do incredible work. And what I loved about your tequila too, and I think Alex and I said this, it's very old school. It's the old school tequilas, other than the Tapatios and the Tequila Ochos and the single estate and all that, or even Siete Leguas for that matter. They're few and far between, because the more of these brands that are coming from that are becoming mainstream, the flavor profile becomes mainstream as well. So when you were hit with the Juan Lobo, you're like, oh, wow, where have I had this one in the last 10 years? It was 10 years since I had this flavor profile, you know. So you obviously saw the reviews. We fell all over ourselves with it.
I appreciate it.
But no, thank you for having the guts to not make the celebrity, you know. And I guess I use that term loosely now, because now, having met you, you're just a regular guy with a finance degree, and by the way, a lovely wife. Congratulations on your nuptials. Not only did you get married this year as well, right before the pandemic, or what?
We got married November of 2019.
This is important. You got to know what your anniversary is.
Yeah, it's coming up. Up. We're about a month away. So, Mike, I might have to have you call me to say, hey, buddy, it's the 29th. You need to get out and get the card. But Amber's been in my life almost 8 years. She's been a part of this process with Juan Lobo, integral part of the process. The Vivancos love Amber. They love having her around. You know, she's the marketing director for Juan Lobo. You know, not enough props to her, man. Honestly, everything. And she's very involved in my music business and the tequila business, handling my schedule, and she puts up with a lot from me. I think maybe the anniversary should be more than just, you know, a card and flowers. It might need to be a new car or something like that.
Well, you know, it's just I basically, she's got nothing to do, right? So she just kind of
Right.
Yeah, it's just a figurehead. But no, believe me, Lisa Peach, who is our marketing director on Tequila Aficionado, has grown this brand to what it is. You know, now we have a magazine and we have the tastings, and, you know, it gives me a chance to do more of these open bars with people behind the scenes, you know, brand owners, distillers, and guys like you. I wanted to ask you, was the quest, whose idea was that? Was that Amber's idea? Because if you haven't seen the quest, you can see it on it's on your website, but I think you also have it on Instagram TV.
Yeah.
And I watched it again the other day, and I got to tell you, the quality of the scenes. I know it's a short film, but it looks like I'm watching Narcos, because, you know, it looks like you're being like, you just, you know, you got hijacked at La Capilla, which is the oldest tequila bar in Mexico.
Yeah.
And then they take you in this car, and the guys are speaking Spanish to each other like a couple of sicarios. And I'm going, oh, this is not going to end well. You know, so whose idea was that? I mean, isn't that going like a little extreme? You know?
You know, what I wanted to do, and the goal with Juan Lobo is to, again, to continue over a period of time to not only, and I say this on the music front, if you want to be a successful artist, it takes a lot of work. And I tell a lot of young guys, you know, not only you got to stay in shape. That's a part of being, you know, a country singer nowadays. You know, you got to work on your craft as a songwriter. You got to be able to put that hat on as a businessman. You need to be able to work on your stage presence, your vocals. So really, if you translate all that over into the world of tequila, you know, I want these little places for people to go. They depend on the profile to be consistent, and there were reasons behind some of these profiles as well. But I wanted the profiles to be a certain thing. We have to keep them consistent. Packaging, marketing is a big deal. We want to be able to grab them in a storyline. So these are all little things along the way that we're giving our consumers places to sort of take ownership and become a part of, join the narrative of Juan Lobo. Mm-hmm. So it's really becomes, as we go down the road with Juan Lobo, it becomes about lifestyle and sort of how I feel when I'm drinking Juan Lobo, or those sorts of things. The quest was the beginning of that idea. And it was my idea, and my director buddy, Mason Dixon, who directed the film, I remember sitting in my car over at the grocery store over here. I was about to go in and get something for dinner, and I called my director buddy. I said, "Hey, what do you think about this idea of this short film around Juan Lobo tequila?" And I told him the concept, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it." And I go, "Okay, how much is it going to cost?" And he says, "I have no idea." I'm going, "Okay, great. Let's do it." So it really is from a creative perspective. And, those that know tequila, that dig in deep, they'll go, "Okay, wait a second. Juan Lobo's a Highlands tequila, but they filmed a lot of it in the lowlands, and there's this going on and this going on." And it's not meant to be something that, you have to remove yourself a little bit from the stark reality of the brand to just the storyline, because there will be more episodes.
I was going to ask you if you're going to do more of these.
Yeah, there's going to be more episodes. We're going to find ourselves in the Highlands, and the story will continue. So for those of you out there that want to go see it, the premise of the story is that Juan Lobo is he's a sort of a world traveler kind of guy, and he's in search of this special tequila, and it leads him to the sort of I guess you could say that what we think is the jefe of this special tequila brand, and he's where the story ends basically is that they've come to a good understanding of that tequila is sacred, and there's a process, and it's important to uphold the reputation and the quality of tequila, which that translates right back into reality, because that's the truth. I tell a lot of people, there's with a co-responsibility agreement in Mexico, it's important for me to uphold the Vivanco family reputation, the way that we do business. And then they, in turn, will uphold the reputation of Juan Lobo and make sure that we're doing business in a truthful and honest and kind way. That's really what it's about.
Excellent. That if you folks haven't seen The Quest, you really need to watch it, because I'm kind of like dying for the next Narcos to come out, and so this gives me a little bit of a Narco Fix, but it's not really. It's got nothing to do with Narcos. It just kind of has that atmosphere, Are you going to do this with the beard again, or without the beard this time? Because every time I see pictures of you, it's with or without. I mean, what does it take you, half an hour to shave, or what?
Well, yeah, the beard is kind of a love-hate relationship that I have, and I get the beard for a while, and I go, "Man, I love the beard," and then about a month and a half later, I go, I got to get rid of the beard. But
wait till it starts to turn gray on you.
Hey, I got a few of those, man. The idea, it's kind of cool, because in the music front, I typically kind of have been clean shaven, and then when I do Juan Lobo, I grow the beard out. So it's kind of a fun little designation between the two. And but we had a lot of fun with the Quest. So much work and so many great people involved. I mean, it really
looks like you employed a lot of people from Jalisco who are involved in the picture business, in the movie business.
Right. Everybody was cast right there in Guadalajara and Tequila, and the bartender in the
yeah,
he's actually the bartender over at the tasting room across. What's the name of the tasting room across from the he was the bartender.
The funny thing is, I've been back to Jalisco maybe 3-4 times, but the very first time that we were there was on I call it the largest blind date I've ever been on. It was a first tour before tours became a thing.
Okay.
So it's close to going to bed. There's like 35 of us, and somebody says, "Hey, where's so and so?" "Oh, they're over at the oldest bar in Tequila." And they go, "Where's that?" So before going to the hotel, which is, we walk everywhere, right? If you're in downtown Tequila, you just walk everywhere, and it's dark. It's close to 11 o'clock. People, the streets are empty. You're going. I'm from the hood here in Southern Cal, so I'm going. Is this safe? Anyway, we walk in, and this is a hole in the wall with a with a with a jukebox, and the gentleman behind the bar was may he rest in peace. He was the one that invented the batanga and the drink, and so Don Javier, and he served us, and he kept the bar open for us, because we kept wandering in, and so we started dancing to ranchera music, and it was really cool, but it was, and now it's an historic bar. Yeah. So, but I can't remember what the tasting room is across the street. I thought maybe he was the second in charge, or whoever has handled, who's handling now the bar itself. But I recognize it right off because it still hasn't changed. The pictures behind the bar are still the same. Let me ask you, what when somebody tastes your tequila, what do you want them to know about you? Do you want it to be an extension of your personality, an extension of your music, or do you want that to be a separate experience? We were talking about the Juan Lobo experience being separate, different tangents all coalescing in one center.
Yeah, I think looking at sort of what my musical influence were, we went, talking earlier about Frank Sinatra and George Strait. I guess you could say that I'm drawn to classic things, timeless things that feel sort of traditional. That's something. So I wanted my tequila to have that traditional tequila agave taste. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That was important. I wanted my consumer, our fans, our drinkers to go, man, that to me, I'm drinking, cooked agave, okay, got it, I wanted the reposado to also kind of stand out on its own, to the extent that sometimes you take a line of expressions from a tequila brand and one kind of melds into the other a little more than what I wanted. I wanted these to kind of be, okay, wow, this has its own thing. This has its own thing. That was important to me. And I think what I want our consumers to feel when they drink Juan Lobo is I'm hoping at some point those things all translate to them, to say, okay, this to me feels classic. It feels honest. It feels traditional. I don't know if I want to use the word complex, because that's maybe not really what I want them. I don't know if I would want them to say, hey, this is complex, but I want them to feel that it's thought out.
Well,
so
it worked on us. I mean, and yeah, we would use complex as it's more of the complex is more of a descriptor when you taste a tequila. There's a lot of layers in there. Sure. And then we told people, please take your time with this tequila. There's the party aspect when people are going to be taking shots and drinking that out of the bottle and things like that. You can't stop others from doing that. Sure. But it really is, for us, what we try to show people is how to be at one in the moment, and that's basically it. It's like a wine tasting, a beer tasting. When you go to a winery, it's nothing loud and there's no, it's reverent. It's like going to church. It's people speak in low tones and it's almost weird how that happens because it's not by design, I'm sure, but you just feel there's this presence that you feel that what you're about to taste or sample is special, or you're going, if nothing else, up until COVID, everybody's running around and we're all online and we're everywhere and we're not reading and we're not taking time for ourselves. And since March, some people are just not equipped to be at one with themselves. And so for us, when we show people how to taste tequila, it's all about be at one with what it is you're tasting. It's not about shooting it, because that there's no experience with that anymore. Nobody does that. And so what we realized when you made your tequila, and of course where you made it, it was so people could stop and smell, literally stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You don't phone in your lyrics or your music. You really got to play your especially that favorites set on YouTube. I mean, I ran it for like a couple of hours. It just, it's like, wow, where's this guy been? How come I haven't heard, I spent 7 years in San Antonio and not once did I hear, Juan Lobo until I saw your tequila. And that could be just because of, where I was at the time. But you're like this old soul, man. You have that. Everything so far has rung true from what you've said. Even this conversation that, we're almost at an hour here, and I want to let you go because I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. But, because you know how it is when you drink tequila and talk, you can talk, all of a sudden you look and it's 3 hours later, Yeah. And I gotta do another tasting in an hour. But anyway, you really are an old soul. So what do you, when it comes to your music, what would you like people who maybe don't follow John Wolfe, what would you like them to know about you that maybe your fan base does? What?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to me because the creative pursuit of what we do is never guaranteed for commercial success per se. Now, as a country singer, commercial success has maybe a lot of definitions at this point. I've had a few stints with major label record deals in Nashville, which predominantly I've been independent. I've grown my own music career, and we've become very successful at it. We tour all over the country. I haven't gotten to the point where I sell out stadiums or anything of that nature.
The last guy from Oklahoma who did that is spending a residency in Vegas these days.
That's right. That's
so
right.
You got Garth he's watching you, boy.
That's right. That's right. And so my goal really was to always make all of my records. I put a lot of work and effort into those albums to be who I am and to be the best I can be. And that's what I tell people that don't know my music, just know it comes from an honest place. It's traditional country music with a modern twist and flair to it. I think we have 4 studio albums out at this point, about to do our 5th studio record, 2 live albums.
Right.
The live albums really do highlight our shows. They're a lot of fun. They're rowdy. Our fans know every single word of every song, and there's definitely what we call the Wolf Pack. So for us, we're just really proud of where we are with the music, proud of the honesty. And if folks out there like country music, like traditional country music, we encourage them to go listen to what's out there. And we have an amazing new record coming next year that is influenced even more by the things I love. It's the most me album that we've ever done. So there's the common thread through this new record recording has been Juan Lobo Tequila, introducing it to more and more people. It's been involved in the songs that we wrote for this new album.
Okay.
So
we know you're not phoning it in.
To me, that's what this is about. It's about a creative pursuit, about doing good work, and of course, you hope more and more people. Commercial success is a great thing on all fronts, but you got to start with the good stuff.
Well, let's see. Someone sent me these. You have 94 million streams across all digital platforms. You have 45 million Spotify streams. You have 50,000 releases sold. 1,200 shows performed up until this point.
Right.
14 radio singles. We have 9 consecutive #1 songs in Texas.
Yeah.
5 albums. Like you said, you've got some live stuff going on as well. There's some really impressive numbers that you have, and it's only going to get better. I first of all, let me say thank you, John, for being with us and for spending time with us. I know that we took a chunk of your day, but if you folks see this, you're probably enjoying this at home with family. We hope to have this up by Thanksgiving Day. So that generally for us, that's the biggest. People are bored at home or whatever, and we're going to be able to let people in on an afternoon with John Wolfe. Please do me a favor and thank Amber for putting this together. Happy anniversary coming up. I guess at this point it'll be the anniversary. I'll give you a call.
Please remind me, Mike.
I'll remind you. I'll just text you, and folks, you have been listening to John Wolfe of Juan Lobo Tequila and John Wolfe, the country music singer and star. You've been also watching Open Bar on all of our platforms. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit the red button, unless you're worried about commitment. Hit the notification bell as well. Follow us on Instagram TV, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can do the same with John. Go check out The Quest. If you have this narco thing that I've got, I really do. I can't wait for the next season. Go watch his short film. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. By the way, I was going to ask you. The common thread that I see in all your videos, it's brunettes. What is it with you and brunettes? I know you're married one. There's not a single blonde in any of his videos. I'm not sure what that's all about, but
I had bad luck with blondes in the past. I married a brunette. I'm sticking with it.
Congratulations on your future album. I'm gonna be watching this gentleman's career. You should be watching it too. And thank you again for being on with us on Open Bar. I'm Mike Morales here in our SoCal office. Thanks again, John. Enjoy your tequila. Thank you so much for having us. And in case the Brands of Promise have something special for you, we'll let you know. Okay, for sure. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And